Good morning. This is Nick from I'mWinningAtLife.com. Today I want to talk to you about self-sabotage. I want to talk about some of the things that we all do that don't really help us with our cause, right? They don't help us get to where we want to go. So I also have a quick story for you from a friend of mine about one of his friends that he told me, and it relates to this because this guy always has problems, right? He's always having problems. So we'll start with that, and then we'll talk about self-sabotage a little bit. We'll talk about some of the things that we do that create problems and why we do them, and then how to keep from doing that, right? How to keep from self-sabotaging things in your life, right? How to keep that from happening. So the other day I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's telling me about this guy he knows, and he's having all sorts of problems at work, right? The guy went out, he wants to come back to work, but he can't come back to work because he needs a doctor's note, right? So he went out hurt. The company policy is that he has to have a doctor's note before he comes back, right? So this guy calls my friend and is complaining, my supervisor's screwing me over, the boss is screwing me, he won't let me come back to work. Like, he says company policy is I have to have a doctor's note to come back to work, and it's not right, and I can't get a note, and so on and so forth. And so he gives me this 5-minute, 10-minute story on this guy, and how he can't come back to work, and how the supervisors or his boss is screwing him over, and it's just not right. And I go, can I ask a question? Yeah, sure. I go, this guy always has problems. Is this your friend that always has problems? Like the guy has always got some sort of problem where he goes, yeah, it's him. And I go, yeah, of course it is. Like, of course it is. Who else would it be, right? And then I go, man, you sure seem to know a lot of people that have a lot of problems at work. Why do you keep company with people that are problems? Oh, well, they're always getting screwed over and they're in bad situations. I said, dude, you can't tell me that the people in their various jobs, that it just so happens that they all get screwed over. Like, come on, man. The problem really is not that they're getting screwed over. The problem is that they're sabotaging themselves, right? They're screwing themselves over, right? They go into work, they got a bad attitude, they don't handle their business, they don't do what they're supposed to do, they're fighting the system, and they're screwing themselves, right? They're sabotaging themselves, and then they're wondering why their life is difficult, right? So his buddy can't get a note, is what he claims. It's just, it's simple. Like, the company policy is that they have to bring a note, right? You went out because you had a medical problem, and you have to get released from the doctor to come back to work, and they have to have a note to do that, right? Well, people aren't going to the doctor right now, but you can call up your doctor and they're going to give you a note. If there's nothing wrong with you, they're going to give you the note, right? As long as you explain it to him right. And he's like, oh, but his doctor won't give him a note. And I said, well, that's interesting, because more now than ever, you don't even have to go to the doctor to get the stupid note, like to get what you need. So it doesn't make any sense. It's completely illogical. I said, of course he can't get a note. He's not going to get a note because he does the same thing with his doctor that he does at home, right? Or that he does at work, right? He's a pain. The guy's a pain. He doesn't want to work with the system. He wants to fight it. He wants to be trouble. He wants to argue. So this is why his boss is always on his case, right? And I don't understand why my boss is always on my case. Well, that's why, because you're always creating drama and problems, right? You're sabotaging your own job, and you don't even get it, right? And then you call the doctor, and I'm sure the person on the other line picks up and goes like, oh shit, not this guy again. You know what I mean? I mean, you all know somebody that you don't, when you see the phone number pop up on your phone, you're like, oh great, like, you gotta talk to this person again because they're a pain. You know what I mean? They're just a pain to deal with. Everything is a problem. Everything's an argument. Everything is trouble. And they're only sabotaging themselves, right? They're screwing themselves over, and they can't even figure out why. So of course he can't get a doctor's note, Of course not, because the doctor doesn't even want to deal with him because he's such a pain. And I don't even have to know the guy to know this is what it is. When you tell me you have problems all day with everybody, with everything, the problem isn't outside of you, man. You're the problem, right? You're the one doing it to yourself. You need to change what you do. I said, you need to go back and tell your friend to change what he's doing. And he goes, well, he's trying to sue his employer and do this and do that and do this. And I'm not telling you that there aren't times when it's necessary to handle your business, but what I am saying is when you're at a company for 25 years and you could never promote, and you try and you try and you try, and you know, your boss or your supervisor, whatever it is always on your case and all that, you got to stop looking at everybody else as the problem and everything else is the problem. At some point, you got to look at yourself and say, hey, man, I better change what I'm doing. I said, you know, it would have been really simple. You know what the company policy is? I said, go back and tell your friend, you know what the company policy is. Kiss a little ass with the doctor, get your note, and then come back to work. And just, you show up to work, you give your boss the note, and you're done with it. And you're back at work, and the boss isn't even thinking about it because they're going, oh man, he did exactly what he was supposed to do. Thank you, go back to work, right? But no. Instead, we got to argue and fight and create problems, and then you wonder why nobody wants to help you. And you wonder why you can't accomplish the things that you need to accomplish, or that you can't get ahead. And it's because you're a pain. It's because you don't want to do the right thing, right? And sometimes it's tough. And sometimes, you know, it can be really difficult to do certain things. I get it. I totally understand. But at some point in time, you just got to do it, right? You just got to do it. But instead, you drag your feet and you fight and you argue, or you only do it halfway. And then you're self-sabotaging, right? You're creating this problem for yourself, and it's just keeping you right where you're at, right? And it's bringing more drama into your life, or more trouble, and there doesn't need to be that kind of trouble in your life, right? We all go through trouble. We all have our problems. That's totally true, and it is for everybody. I don't care who you are. No matter how great things are in your life, you still have problems. Everybody does. There's no way around it. But I can tell you for sure that your attitude and how you address it and how you move forward, and if you try to get ahead of it as opposed to being behind it, you're going to find that you're going to do better. So take a few minutes and look at what you're doing in your life, right? Look at the places where you really struggle, and look at the places where you seem to be having problems, okay? Or you know, whatever it is, whether it's financially or it's in your work or it's with your relationship, whatever it is, take a few minutes and look at it and think about it. And then think about, am I sabotaging myself, right? And am I not even realizing that I'm doing it? Am I just sitting here thinking to myself, okay, you know what? I got to do what I got to do. I just got to keep going down my path, right? But then think to yourself, is there a better path, right? Is there a different approach that you can take that will put you to where you want to go? Is there something that you can do that's gonna make it better, right? Is there something you can do that will put you ahead in the game, that'll put you ahead of the people next to you? And it works like that with everything, right? It works like that when you're trying to get a career or a job. It works like that when you're trying to promote your job. It works like that in relationships, right? It works like that with money. What can I do to get farther ahead in my life? And it doesn't matter what area in your life that you're talking about. It's still the same, right? What do you have to do to get to where you want to go, right? And you'll realize that the areas where you probably are struggling the most in life, that you're probably sabotaging yourself to some degree, and you may not even realize that you're doing it, right? You may not even realize that you are doing things that are not helping you out. So take the time and think about it, right? Think about what areas of your life you're having problems. Then think about, how can you change that, right? How can you approach this a little bit different? What are the things that you need to do to get to where you want to go, right? What is it you need to do? Do you need to start saving money? Do you need to start making more money, right? I want to buy a house, right? Oh, but I'm always in the same spot. You know, I got this marginal job, and I'm not sure, and I'll never make enough money, and whatever it is. Well, what are you going to do about it, right? What the hell are you going to do about it? Are you gonna go try to make more money, or are you gonna sit there and cry about it? Are you gonna go out there and decide that, you know what, I'm gonna change my career, or I'm gonna get more knowledge and try to promote, or I'm gonna open my own business and make money and put my heart and soul in it? And am I gonna really put the effort into it to get to where I want to go? right? We've talked about work ethic. We've talked about effort. And those are things that you have to decide that you're going to go do, right? You have to put aside the two words that I hate, right, which we talked about before. You can't say I can't, right? I can't do this, I can't do that. You got to put that aside, right? Because it's all part of the self-sabotage. You in certain areas of your life, I'm sure, are sabotaging yourself, right? Even I do it. I do it. Everybody does it to some degree, right? I find that sometimes I'm working, right? 2-3 weeks in a row, and I'm just every minute of the day I'm going for it, and then I find like last night, right? I come home and I'm like, man, it's been a crazy week. Like I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna watch a movie, right? And I put on a movie, and then I've wasted 2 hours, 3 hours of the time, and then I'm like, damn it, right? And it's like self-sabotage, right? I didn't gain anything by it. I just kind of zoned out, which is nice here and there. But then, then I'm kind of upset that I wasn't productive, right? Like, damn it, I wasn't productive. I should have been better, right? Or I should have ate better, and I can't figure out why I'm not getting to my goals, my weight loss goals, and or my physique goals, and next thing you know, like you've self-sabotaged yourself. You know what I mean? You've sabotaged yourself, and you don't even realize why. But you need to think about it for a little bit, and then realize that you can change it, right? You can live the life that you want to live if you're willing to look at it every day. Take notes of what's going on in your life. Take notes of the things that you want to change. Take notes of how you're going to change it, right? Figure out where you're at right now. Figure out where your life stands right now. And then figure out where you want to go. What do you want to do with your life? And then take some accountability for it, right? Start doing things that are going to help your cause and not sabotage you, right? Start doing the things that you need to do to get ahead in whatever area of your life that you want to get ahead in, right? It can be tough, I get it, and it can be scary, and that's usually what stops us, right? I talked about fear before, and fear stops us before we even start, right? Whatever you're afraid of, it can stop you before you start. So you got to put that fear aside, right? And you got to get to the grind of it, and you got to go for it. You got to push and push and push until you can't push anymore. And when you get to that point, then you push even farther, because that's what it's about, right? The harder you push, the more you do, the farther you go. Eventually, you will get to where you want to go. Right? It'll take time sometimes. Nothing's easy, and nothing's gonna be given to you, man. I promise you that one. Nobody ever gives anybody anything, right? You're here, and some people get stuff from their parents. They maybe get inheritance from their parents or something, but the average person, man, you're not gonna walk into a company, or walk into whatever, some business that you want to work at, and they're not just going to be like, oh, here, have this job. Oh, here, have this raise. Like, it doesn't work that way, right? It just doesn't work that way. That's not how life is. So you got to figure out what you're willing to do to go get it. How far are you willing to go, right? What are you willing to do to get to where you want to go? So I hope this has been good. I hope that you've learned a little bit, and I hope that your week is absolutely wonderful, and we'll see you next week in the morning. Thanks, and have a great week.